We're talking about breast cancer this morning, and there have been some recent discoveries lately that can change your life. So I want you to listen up. We have leading breast cancer prevention expert and author of Waking the Warrior Goddess, the 3rd edition, updated and expanded. This is Dr. Christine Horner. She's here to tell us about these findings. Good morning. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Good morning. Oh, it's my pleasure to be here.
This book is fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
I know you've been doing a lot of research.
Yes.
Can breast cancer be prevented?
It definitely can. And in fact, you know, I'm a board-certified general surgeon as well as a board-certified plastic surgeon, and I had a lot of interest in breast cancer because my mom had been a breast cancer patient, and so I did a lot of breast reconstructive surgery.
So you've seen the inside and the out.
And actually, what I found in my practice is that my patients got younger and younger and younger until I was finally doing women in their 20s.
Oh, no.
And I thought, you know, something is way wrong with this. And so that's when I started looking through the medical research to see if there was anything that women could do to dramatically lower their risk. And this is probably 10 years ago, you know, before we knew anything, and I thought, well, pharmaceutical companies sponsor all the research, I don't know. So what I did was to go through there, and I found thousands of studies that show exactly why we have a breast cancer epidemic and all the things we're doing to contribute to it and the things that we traditionally don't do in this culture that are highly protective. And they were all natural. So food, supplements, herbs, lifestyle approaches, you know, these are all the things that I was taught in my medical education didn't really matter. I was like, hey, they lied to me. Oh. So, you know, so then when I found all this out, I just, you know, various different things kind of serendipitously happened at one point, but it really steered me into the direction of saying, hey, I'm going to actually leave my practice and dedicate myself full time to teaching people about what they can do to avoid this disease in the first place.
And we want to hear all about it. I know you brought some food and some supplements this morning. Let's go through these and why they are so important.
Yes. So the one thing that the research has shown is that the more plants that we can consume, the better it is, because each plant has its own pharmacy in it, and many of them have constituents that almost act like chemotherapy without the dangerous side effects to them. So broccoli is definitely one of the standouts, and is a part of what's called the cruciferous vegetable family. So broccoli, cauliflower, kale, cabbage, all those kinds of things have multiple chemicals in them that have profound anti-cancer effects.
Asparagus too?
Asparagus is a different family, but all plants actually have some non-specific kind of anti-cancer effects, but certain ones are standouts. So definitely cruciferous vegetables are, and you'd want to look up that family. There's about 18 different kinds of vegetables, and to include them on a regular basis.
Regular basis. Okay, so we've got that, and then?
Turmeric. So turmeric is the #1 anti-cancer spice. So this is that bright yellow-orange color that you see in curries. And there's been 6,500 studies done in the medical research, including many studies from MD Anderson, the big cancer hospital. So they find that it works through 150 different ways that they've identified so far and inhibits the growth of 17 different kinds of cancers. So very important. The next thing is flax seeds, and flax seeds are considered the #1 anti-cancer food against breast cancer for many different reasons, but you have to grind them up in a coffee grinder and have them a real fine powder in order to absorb the types of medicines in them, but they've got at least 12 different properties.
Now, I normally eat mine like that.
Nothing happens.
Oh, really?
You just pass it through its roughage.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you got to grind it up to a really fine.
Everything.
Yeah, well, to grind it up into a fine powder so you can actually absorb it. Because that just passes through. Next things are mushrooms. So mushrooms are really interesting because they've been studied and used as a pharmacopoeia in Asia for thousands and thousands of years. And so what they find is that they have many different kinds of anti-cancer properties as well as helping our immune system. Now, the thing is that when we do studies and we look at people trying to do diet and lifestyle changes, we find terrible statistics, and that is that 90% of people who have had a heart attack, for instance, and that, you know, go back to the original diet and lifestyle within 1 year.
There you go.
So very hard for people to do that. So what I recommend is that you start with a few nutritional supplements because everybody can take them, and there's great research showing that they really work.
But big results.
But you can do that today. So there's a couple that are really my favorites that I think are excellent to start with. Well, first of all, you can do turmeric, you know, as a supplement, or green tea as a supplement. This particular formula called AHCC is a mushroom formula. So let's say you don't like your mushrooms, right? But HCC is actually a blend of medicinal mushrooms that comes out of Japan. They have created it in such a way that you're able to absorb it into your system a lot better than what just eating regular mushrooms do. They've done hundreds of studies on HCC, and what they found is that it will stimulate or support every single cell type in the immune system. So it keeps the immune system so strong that it's able to fight off diseases and cancers and inhibits the growth of many different kinds of cancers. They actually prescribe AHCC in the hospitals in Japan because it helps survival statistics so much.
Can we buy that at like a Whole Foods store, a natural store?
Most of the time what you have to do is just Google it, on the internet, and it's found in various different products. It all, comes out of Japan. This particular one, which is made from Quality of Life, I like, but you just would look at on the internet.
And then you have D3 there too.
Yeah, so vitamin D3. Now, lucky you're here in Phoenix with a nice sunshine, but what they found is that consistently people who have various different kinds of chronic diseases, including cancers, their vitamin D levels are low. And the survival statistics are much lower in people that have low vitamin D levels. So taking a vitamin D supplement, and they've done a number of studies where they do this, where they study people prospectively into the future to see what happens taking vitamin D supplements, and they found that it cut their risk of breast, prostate, and colon cancer in half.
Wow. And quickly, we're running out of time, but there is a breast cancer vaccine.
They're working on it.
They have
identified a breast cancer virus, just like the HPV virus that causes cervical cancer. There's a virus that's been identified in a certain percentage of breast cancers, not in the same extent of what we see with HPV. So they're working on it. The Cleveland Clinic's further along in their research. They're going to start clinical trials on a vaccine in 2 years, and then it may not get to the market in 10 years. But the most important thing is if you're healthy, you take your supplements, you eat your good foods and everything, you don't get the virus.
Wow.
You're immune to it.
And just take care of yourself.
That's right. Yeah, and exercise, stress
you can prevent
release,
this.
Going to bed by 10 o'clock.
Terrific information,
Yes.
Doctor. And again, it's all in her book, Waking the Warrior Goddess. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
We'll be right back with more of the Morning Scramble.